Hello everyone and welcome to the Autodesk Robot Structural Analysis tutorial brought to you by the Civil Engineering Essentials channel. I hope you enjoy the video. In this video, we are going to take a look on the design process of reinforced concrete beams using Autodesk Robot. So to start with, this time I'm going to select the 2D frame design because I'm just going to design me a simple reinforced concrete beam and I don't need all the 3D capabilities of Autodesk Robot. So right, I'll just click on the 2D frame design. Now you might see some changes in the GUI, but still the feeling of Autodesk Robot is the same nonetheless. Of course, there is a video linked above for the GUI of Autodesk Robot. I recommend you see this. Furthermore, before I start, I am going to design using the American Concrete Institute ACI 318 code, which means I have to quickly check out my job preferences. Now, of course, there is a separate video about job preferences also linked above. Feel free to watch that. For me, I'm just going to quickly check out my design codes. Well, it's the ACI code, all right. Now, I think this is the latest version. Of course, I need to check if there is a newer version in Robot. So let's see. It seems that the 2014 version is the latest one, so I'll just use that. Of course, I'm metric guy, so I choose the 318M version. Everything seems to be fine. And I'll go to my databases and double check my reinforcing bars. And I'm going to use the metric version of the reinforcing bars. So I click on that, click on the tick, save everything as defaults, and say OK. All right. So I have done everything. Now let's say we have a continuous beam that has spans 4, 4, 5, 4, for example, or anything of the liking. So I'll just say 0, 4, 4, 5, and 4. Basically, and in the Z there is nothing, so there is 0. So now I have my grid. Of course, I could have drawn the beam without the grid, but I just use the grid anyway. Alright, so I'll click on members, of course, and I will select reinforced concrete beam because that is what I want to design. There are some type definitions if you want to change that, and you can actually modify those also in the design GUI that we will open later. I'll just keep it for now like this, and maybe I will talk about those things later, especially for the T-beam, because sometimes there is a certain combined action between the beam and the slab, which makes the beam behave like a T-section. For now, I'll just keep them as is. And now I will just basically define me a section. So I'll just double click on the 3 points. Now, of course, those things were explained in a previous video called simple beams or something. So feel free to check that. It's linked above again. So I'll just define me a 300 by 500 beam, and I will draw that. So I'll open my drag now, click, click, and that's it. So we have drawn our beam. Let me just double check it. Well, beautiful. All right, everything seems to be fine. Well, I need to support it. So, well, let's click on support. Now I'm going to pin everything. So now, conceptually speaking, beams are supported by columns, and there is some kind of interaction between columns and beams. I'm assuming that the action between my columns and beams are pin action, meaning that there is no moment transfer between beams and columns. Of course, if the joint between the columns and the beams is a rigid joint, then it becomes a frame action, and I have to reconsider my model here. I will talk about the design of frames in another video, but for now, I'm just going to design me a beam that is continuously supported on columns. All right, fantastic. So now I'll add me some dead loads and live loads. Now in the dead load, the own weight is automatically added. You can check that if you go to loads, load table. You can see that the dead load is there, self weight. And I'm going to apply me some member loads. Those are continuous member loads. Now, how do I get those loads? It's the duty of the structural engineer to calculate those loads. And usually you will calculate the dead load per unit area, or like kilonewtons per meter square, on the slab, and then multiply this by the tributary width of the beam. Let's say that my dead load of the slab is 10 kilonewtons, and that the beams are spaced 5 meters apart, which means 2.5 meters from the right and 2.5 meters from the left. In other words, my dead load is going to be 50 kilonewtons per meter in dead. So I'll just add that to everything, to all. Of course, this is strange. It seems I messed up because the loads are applied on the X. So yeah, I have had the 50 and X, so I'll just quickly fix that. So to fix that, you need to delete the load. I'll just go to the uniform dead load here, delete it from load table. You can also delete it from another option, and I have explained adding and deleting loads in a video before. It's called nodal and understanding nodal and linear loads. So please refer to that video for more details. All right, fantastic. So I'm just going to apply me 50 kilonewtons in the global z-axis, negative. I'll apply that. So now I have my dead load. For the live load, I'll select the case live load, go to my loads, go to member loads, and add me a live load. Let's say that the live load is 3 kilonewtons per meter square, and we have a tributary width of 5, so my live load is 15 kilonewtons meter. So now I have my dead, I have my live. I can open my basically manual combinations and ask him to produce me a combination out of those two by simply saying 1.2 multiplied by dead and 1.6 multiplied by live. All right, fantastic. Now, one important issue to talk about here is that this is actually not accurate. Design codes require you to variate the live load. Variating the live load means that you should double check all possible load combinations for the live load. For example, the live load could be on the first span alone, the second span alone, the third span alone, and the fourth span alone, or two spans and two spans no. Of course, some design codes like the British code asks you to perform 3 live loads, one being a fully loaded live load beam, one being alternatively loaded beam in the first and third span and the second and fourth span. Now, do you need to do this? The answer is no, because Autodesk Robot has the ability to do those combinations for you. But I'll do them manually, so I'll just define me some cases. I'm just adding some cases. I don't know how many cases I need, to be honest. There might be a lot. So I'm just adding me some cases. All right, so now I'm at live load 2. And in live load 2, I'm basically going to add me a member load. I'll just add this here. For live load 3, I'll add it here, 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 and you can see where this is going. I'm gonna video edit this very quickly. Alright, so after some video editing, I did that. Trust me, it was not fun. I'll just show you that. I just scroll through that very quickly. And this is another live load case. I'm just scrolling down. You can see all possible load arrangements being done on the beam. It wasn't funny. It took me a lot of time. Alright, so now I need to also make me a manual combination for each one of those. So that's my first combination. I click on new, call this ULS2 or something, or combination 2, and basically select my dead load and my live load 2, and then I'll save or apply that. Then click on new, combination 3, select my dead load and live load 3, and you see where this is going. I'm just gonna video edit this again. Alright, so after another grueling task, I think I've done that. Let me just quickly check. Combination 1 is with live load 1, combination 2 with live load 2, and you can see I'm just gonna toggle and scroll. And it seems that I've done all the live load cases that I have. All right, fantastic. So now I'm ready. So I have a lot of load cases. And now I'm just going to run the analysis for funds. So just click the run analysis button. The analysis is being running and it is solved. So well, let's remove the loads first of all. And then go to the diagrams for members. Open FZ, hit the apply button. Now this is the FZ for the dead load, and you can actually check out the FZ, for example, for all the load cases. And you can see how the load cases, let me just open the loads now. You can see how the load cases affect the shear force diagram. Of course, it also has an effect on the bending moment diagram. You can see various combinations and the results, as you can see. So first of all, I will remove the loads. Second of all, I'm going to make my diagram a little bit pretty. So now there is something called the envelope, which means the maximum and minimum value that each point has experienced under all possible load cases. Now there is something called simple cases, which gives you the envelope of values for all the cases without combinations. And there is another case called combinations, which gives you the maximum and minimum value for all combination cases, not for all load cases. This is also true for moment, and this is basically what we use to design. We design our beams on the maximum minimum of all points. So for example, this point is designed on 106. This point, for example, is designed on both negative and positive moments, because in some cases there was a negative moment, and in some cases there was a positive moment. So both moments needs to be designed. And yeah, well, this is how the envelope looks like. So we are now ready to design. Now, of course, you have seen me going through this grueling task of defining each and every live load, and trust me, it wasn't pretty. It really took some time, because you will always have to make sure that you have covered all those possible load cases. So is there a way to do this automatically? And the answer is yes. The robot has the ability to take your live load and variate it on all the spans that you have. All right, fantastic. Can Autodesk Robot define all those combinations automatically, and can it produce results that are somehow similar to what I have produced? And the answer is yes, it can. Before I start doing that, I just go to my combinations case and note me two values. So I just go to diagrams and members, and I will note me my MY and the values of my MY, just to explain that. So you can see somehow that my values are between 195 and 121. This 121 and 195 was done by combining all the combinations that are resulting from all the possible cases and live loads that we had. Fantastic. So now I want Autodesk Robot to do that automatically for me. So I go to load, automatic load combinations. Now you can make a full automatic load combination, a simplified load combination, and a manual load combination. For me, I will not take anything. I will basically define my own automatic combinations. Because I have so many load cases, and Autodesk Robot might not understand what those load cases represent. So I'll basically let Autodesk Robot define me all the possible case of loadings for the full dead load and for the full live load, and let Autodesk Robot itself variate me the live load. So I'll go to loads, automatic combinations, and I will go to more, and now I will select the ULS. In cases, I'll select only the dead load one and the live load one, meaning the dead load that was applied on the entire beam and the live load that was applied on the entire beam. You can see that Autodesk Robot detects the nature of those loads as well as the grouping. So if you click now on generate, you can see that suddenly I have some new cases. I have ULS, I have ULS positive, ULS negative, and so on. Now I need to run the analysis to be able to do that actually. So if you run the analysis, now I have, of course, my own combinations with cases. This is something we have done before, and my own combination results. And of course, I have my own envelope, which is the maximum values of all my combinations that I have defined by hand. And you can see that the values are between 121 and 195. Now, if I go to the ULS code combinations, which is the code combinations that Autodesk Robot has defined it for me, you can see that there is 190 and 113.6. Now, they are really similar to my combinations. There are some slight differences. The reason why there are some slight differences is because I'm using a very simplified 1.2 dead plus 1.6 live. Of course, the code has a lot more than this in its internal workings. Sometimes you can actually reduce the live load and stuff like that. So the code automatically does that for you. I'll just say that, well, I'm more than satisfied with the results. Instead of me defining all those live load cases and defining all those combinations and going through around 15 minutes of work, you see that only by defining one dead load, one live load on the full beam, and then going to geometry, and then going to load automatic combinations, you can see that you get satisfactory results. So, okay, fantastic. I have defined my beam, I have analyzed my beam. Now it's time to start designing. Now to do that, I'll basically select my beam like this, go to design and select. Now, of course, there are multiple options. First of all, I'll go to the required reinforcement of reinforced concrete beams and columns. This is a simplified design GUI that allows you to calculate the area of steel required without any detailing. Now, of course, if you have misclicked and you want to go back, you can basically go back by selecting here and going to start, and you'll get back to your initial GUI. Now, of course, it seems that I don't have my results. So just calculate my model again, and now I'll select once again my beam. This time I'm just going to go to the required reinforcement of reinforced concrete beams and columns, and now I'm here. Now if you blindly select calculate, it will give you some errors. Calculations performed for members 1 to 4, yes, those are for members. 0 are correct, all of them have warnings. Why is that? It's that because, well, I just blindly hit calculate without asking or answering any questions of what is robot asking me. So it asks you what is the calculation for, and I'm calculating for members 1, 2, 4. That is correct. I don't calculate for groups because I haven't grouped anything. For the code combinations, I didn't answer the question of what is robot designing. Now, robot should design the ULS ultimate limit state. You can see that suddenly there is an entry called 30, and I cannot modify this. This is done because I have used automatic combinations, and ULS is the 30th combination is my ULS, and robot automatically takes that. Now, if you want to select your own combination, robot doesn't allow you to do that because you have already done a automatic combination of that structure. So robot uses its own automatic combination. However, if you go to load automatic combinations and delete those combinations, then you can start choosing your own combinations. I'll keep it as ULS like this, and I'll continue. So now I've selected my combination case. If I hit on calculate now, there are no errors and all of them are correct. Let's see how the results look like. You can see that the results now have, for each span, for example, this is the span now. 1 means the first span or the first member. you can see that it gives you the transversal reinforcement or the stirrups. It gives you the reinforcement top and bottom. In some points, for example, in the beginning here, there is no negative moment, so that's why all the reinforcement is in bottom reinforcement. At 0.4, at 1.2, at 2, at 2.8, at 3.6, somewhere here. At 3.6, it starts to have a top reinforcement based on the moment that was on the reaction. Of course, there is no positive reinforcement because the moment is entirely negative. You still have some other spans that actually give you the reinforcement, which seems to be nice and dandy. Now, there are some options here. If you look here, the parameters of the calculation. Now, there are standard parameters. You can double click on that and see what is happening here. There is not much to say. There is a lot more to say about this later, so I'll just wait for it. There is a lot more to talk about in this position. And you can see that there are some other things like tables, and it gives you a table of, for example, reinforcement if it's available. A lot of stuff that you can do. And of course, you can define structures, steel connection, and reinforced concrete beam design. Those are all available for you if you want. So, for example, if I click on that and go to reinforced concrete beam design, it switches my GUI to the reinforced concrete beam design, which is the next step of my design process. Now, for now, I'll just cancel it. The final button here transfers my beam to the detailing GUI. I will leave it for now. So yeah, that's the first option in designing reinforced concrete beams. Now, if you go back to the start and actually go to results, diagrams for members, there is something called reinforcement, and you can actually open those reinforcements. So for example, now, if you click on required top along B and you click on apply, now suddenly you start seeing reinforcements because we have designed those reinforcements. Now, of course, the question is, I'm seeing reinforcements up to a point and then there is nothing here. I mean, look at this. There is clearly a gap in the provided reinforcement. The reason why there is a gap in the provided reinforcement is because there is an assumption that the support has a certain width, and that is something that we have basically used. So it assumes a certain support width and basically calculates the negative reinforcement up to that support. Of course, you can check out the bottom reinforcement, same story. It calculates the reinforcement until it reaches that support. Of course, the question now is, what is the support width that was assumed? The answer to that is, if you go to your members and select reinforced concrete beam and hit on the browse button, you can see that the support width is defined here. Of course, you can change that. Now, I have reloaded my beam at the point when there isn't any design for concrete, so you can see that there is no reinforcement given. And I want to talk about something right now. So if the beam is not designed, if the beam isn't designed, and you go to results, diagrams for members, and go to reinforcement and apply something, well, Autodesk Robot gives you nothing. So what I'm trying to say is, you will only see the required reinforcements and even the provided if those things were calculated. When I reloaded my beam to the point where there was no reinforcement calculation, you can see that the reinforcement required and stuff like this no longer shows up because it was never calculated to begin with. So you basically, what I'm saying is, you will have first of all to take your beam, design it, and then open your reinforcement to see it on the beam. I'll just quickly do that. So I'll select my beam again and go to the reinforcement. I'll just do this very quickly and calculate. And if I go back now again, you can see that suddenly you can see the reinforcement that is required. Now, of course, this is the top reinforcement. You can also see the bottom reinforcement that is required. Those things are basically what you see here, in most likely what you see here. So what I'm saying is, this is basically what you see here. There is nothing to be said here. And also quickly mention that there is something called required reinforcement for reinforced concrete slabs or walls. This is something for later. That's all what I wanted to talk about in designing of reinforced concrete beams, which is basically to calculate the required reinforcement. There will be another video about the provided reinforcement, which actually gives you the reinforcement details for this beam or another beam. So this will be the topic of the next video. In the end, I hope that this video was beneficial to you and that you have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed this video, please do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. It helps a lot. This is the Civil Engineering Essentials channel, and we will catch you in the next video.